here with Captain Gus Gustafsson, who is not only a fisherman, among other things, you're an author, you're an avid networker,
yes.
and a walking advertisement as well. So
yeah,
welcome to the show. Thanks
thank
for coming on with
Thanks
us
for having me today.
Most people know you're like an icon of Lake Norman. How long have you actually been fishing on the lake?
Well, the first time I saw Lake Norman, it was still the Catawba River, and they were cutting trees down and bulldozing the bottom of the lake. That was in 1960.
Wow.
So at that time, I was, it was just an amazing undertaking. Nobody was really interested in it because it was so far away from Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Everybody was going to Lake Wiley, and that's where they enjoyed their fishing and recreational boating. And Lake Norman was basically a non-event.
Mm-hmm.
For the first 10 or 15 years, it was in, it was full of water.
Well, and then it became the resort place to go
Right.
to.
And then it became
all
the
development.
place, and I guess a lot of that has to do with the banks, the hub from US Air.
Mm-hmm.
Lowe's came in, then NASCAR moved in,
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden we've got a beautiful, beautiful lake with 520 miles of shoreline, and people want to live on it because it's only a 20-minute drive to Charlotte if the traffic isn't
Right.
too bad. So it's just unbelievable what's happened over the last 40, 50 years to Lake Norman.
So talk about fish now.
Okay.
So what kind of fish do people catch in Lake Norman?
Lake Norman has all of the warm water fish that you normally catch in a lake in Piedmont, North Carolina. We have the bass,
Okay.
we have catfish, we have different panfish, crappie and brim, and bluegills, and we have white perch in the lake. We don't have the walleye and the salmon and the trout and some of the cold water fish. Some of those can be caught up in the mountains of North Carolina, but we basically have the warm water fish.
Anything unusual about what's in the lake, or?
Not really. I guess the biggest surprise to most people is how big the catfish get.
Oh yeah.
And we, for a long, long time, we had the state record on Arkansas blue catfish of 85 pounds, and then about 2
Wow.
years ago,
It's bigger than my 12-year-old.
Yeah.
and about 2 years ago, an angler over on the Yadkin River chain caught an 89 pounder. So
Wow.
that's the new state record. So, but big catfish, they're not going to bother anybody in the lake, other than the fact that they swim around and they may break a fishing rod every now and then,
Yeah.
but they're out there.
So you can't catch an 85-pound catfish with a rod like this. Do you need one of those?
Surprisingly, this particular rod right here, we could catch one with a skillful angler and a lot of luck.
Okay.
But if you're actually going out and fishing for a fish that size, you would use heavier tackle.
And an
Okay.
adult behind the pole, right? You've told me that you've almost lost a few children over the
Well,
boat.
yeah, a big fish, a fish that's over 30 pounds or so, it's tough for a little guy to
Yeah.
reel a big fish in, and a lot of times what happens is they'll cook a big fish incidentally while they're fishing for something smaller, and a lot of times they have to hand it over to their parents or someone else to reel it in.
How long, if you go out on the boat and you start fishing in the morning or whatever, how long does it take till you start? I mean, are you pretty much guaranteed to catch a fish if you go out, or is it
Pretty much.
spotty, or?
Now some days you won't catch as many as others, but like this whole summer, I believe every trip we've been on, we've caught fish.
Mm-hmm.
How fast? When the fish are feeding and they're super active, you'll catch fish the first time you drop a line in the water.
Wow.
When fishing is slow and they're inactive, it may take 2 or 3 spots before you find a fish, or the conditions change to make them start biting. But we have pretty much caught fish every day this summer, and in large numbers too.
Do you use bait or lures?
Combination. We
Okay.
use live bait a lot of times, mostly shad, herring. We use rainbow trout for bait in the wintertime. We actually go to hatcheries and get rainbow trout. We use shiners, and then we use a variety of artificial lures depending on what the timeliness of the season and what we're fishing for.
Now, do you have certain spots that are key for fishing on the lake?
Yeah, there's every fisherman's got his favorite 20 spots or whatever, and if you fish year round like I do, I've got 100 or so that are just really preferred spots, and those spots are marked on my GPS.
Okay.
So even if we fish at night, we can go to those spots in the dark because the GPS has them identified. You can go right to them.
Oh,
Now, the other question, too, I always like to ask this from different people. Now, is the water really clean? Like, can you eat the fish? Is the water clean?
Right. Okay, that's a good question. The water is tested by Mecklenburg County about 10 times a year.
Okay.
And unless there's something unusual, a lot of runoff for one reason or another, even a thunderstorm. If there's a thunderstorm the night before, they test a particular cove or something, might not come up as high on the quality standard as they'd like to see it. But over a period of time, the water is always in the very good to excellent range.
Okay.
So that's good. Now, there's a difference between drinking water quality and then there are some heavy metal warnings out, and they're statewide, not just for Lake Norman, but for the entire state.
Okay.
And there's some very specific instructions on that you should only eat X number of portions of fish per week.
Right.
And a pregnant woman maybe should not eat any fish at all that come from any of the freshwater lakes.
Right.
But as a general rule, if you just eat moderate amounts of fish, they're fine. And they're tasty, they're delicious, and we have no problem.
So what's your favorite recipe for a catfish or a what
Well,
you catch?
I like, what amazes me is how when you change the batter on the fish, and everybody's got their own secret batters,
Right.
that you change the whole taste. And some people say, you know, I really rather eat catfish, or I don't like bass, or I don't like stripers, and we've actually dipped them in these different batters, and once they get the batter overpowers the taste of the fish, and all of a sudden they like them all. On my website, which is www.fishingwithgus.com, there's a group of recipes on there that you'll probably enjoy and like to use at some point in the future, so it's good reference material for you.
That sounds good. And then if people want to go out on a fishing trip with you, you have a coupon on our website for 20% off a fishing trip
Right.
with Capt Gus. They can
That's
come
right.
out and catch some fish and
They can come
try
out and
some
catch
of the
some fish.
recipes. And you're going to be running some different promotions going forward too, so people can check back and see
Right.
some big specials coming up for the holidays.
Right.
Very good.
And we might want to mention
Yeah, I was
this
going to
in
say,
book,
and if you
right?
want to hear what a fishing trip with Captain Gus is like, you've got this book. You want?
Yeah, just let me tell you just quickly about the book. It's a series of 25 short stories, and there's a little bit of truth in every one
I was
of
going
the
to say, are they true
stories.
stories?
bit of
Are they-
A little bit of truth in every one of them, and this is great reading for the whole family. The children you can read it to them while they're sitting, putting them to sleep at night, or you can read. The adults can read it. You'll enjoy the stories in here.
And I saw them on display at the Visit Lake Norman Visitor Center, right near the chamber off Catawba Avenue.
Right, the
People wanna
Visitor
buy it.
Center on Catawba Avenue has them. They also have them at the Convention and Visitor Bureau in Mooresville,
Okay.
and the Perfect Gift on Brawley School Road, gift shop. has
Okay.
them.
Okay, great.
And how long is a fishing trip, real quick, for people?
We do half, 3/4, and all-day trips, just depending on what they want. We design the trip to meet the daily needs of whatever the client wants. If they want to do a half day, they can go. If they want to go all day, they can go. If they want to go in the daytime, we can go. We can go at night. We can do whatever.
Okay. Well, if you want to go on a fishing trip with Captain Gus, it's good for all ages. You can go to our website at lknsavings.com for the coupon and check it out.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you. Thanks for
thanks.
coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Great deal.